Dear learners, welcome to this course. Today we will be discussing about the role of different stakeholders in the process of anti-human trafficking. We have discussed the role of, the government officials, the role of judiciary, the role of leaders, the role of common people, and today we have with us Dr. Anand Gupta. He is a colleague in School of Law, IGNOU.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the program.
So, hope you have understood the sessions till now because the stakeholders are very important in curbing this menace of human trafficking. If all the stakeholders come together and work in a multidimensional approach, then we will be able to address the issues of human trafficking at the local level and remove the vulnerabilities. And if we are able to remove the vulnerabilities, then human trafficking will either not happen, or even if that will happen, with the role of stakeholders, the positive role of stakeholders, we will be able to catch hold the traffickers and the law will punish them. So we will be discussing the role of NGOs today. And NGOs play a very important role, starting from getting information about any brothel or any massage parlor, any placement agency, or any other thing which is not working properly. So NGOs play a very important role, and I would just request my colleague Dr. Anand Gupta to say further.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, non-governmental organizations play a very important role, and in simple terms, non-governmental organizations or NGO is an organization which is working in a social cause, working for a social cause, and it is a private organization. It is not controlled by the government. Although it may receive some grants from the government, some organizations receive grants from the government, some do not. Uh, and Now it is believed that government institutions and NGOs should become partners in all the social issues. And when we talk about the human trafficking, NGOs has a very important role to play. It can work a link between victim and the governmental organizations, and it can also provide support to the people, support to the victim. It can be involved in various types of activities, from starting from uh, education to vocational training, skill-based training, providing basic needs to the victims, providing them shelter and, uh, and various others areas.
Yes, Anandji has rightly said that NGOs play a very important role and they have a very good bonding with the victims or survivors of human trafficking. Because from starting, that is from the point of rescue till the rehabilitation and reintegration, the people from NGOs are involved with the victims of human trafficking. They have a very good link. They talk to them. They try to get their inputs about the services, about the shelter homes, about the safety homes, about the different aspects as per their needs, the medical needs, the psychological needs, the environmental needs, and the kind of reformation they are wanting. So maybe X place has a different kind of a networking, a different kind of rehabilitation scheme for the victims of trafficking. And suppose the victim of trafficking wants a different kind of job, tailoring cannot be done by all. Similarly, cooking is not done by all. So if we have very limited employment avenues, or the training avenues, then maybe they will be delinked. So the people from NGO talk to these people, the victims, and take their say. And when they checklist or they make a program for rehabilitation, these inputs are very important, because they talk with the government agencies, they talk with the homes and the administration. So, with the help of NGOs, you are able to understand the need of the victims and survivors. And when we are able to address these needs, then rehabilitation happens in real sense. Then reintegration in the society also happens, because sometimes the NGO people go to the places where, at the homes of the victims, and they convince the family members to take back the victim in the family. So many a times, due to social pressures, due to your egos, or your reputation issues, you are not able to accept your own family members. So NGO play a bonding link between the broken ties. So NGO is very important. As I said, during the rescue also, the police official needs a person from the NGO, so that they can later on give witnesses. Then which home the person will go, that also matters a lot. What are the services in the different institutions provided for safety of these people? So this is also very important. And NGO can also play as a check mechanism, because these people go and interview the victims and survivors, so they have a better knowledge, a better updation on the day-to-day activity of any home, of any center. So they will be able to give the best review. And when they go and interact regularly with the victims, then a lot of things come up. The causes, if we can address the causes, then the trafficking cases can be reduced. Then they also talk about the vulnerability factors, the psychological factors. They also help in getting the medical help for the victim or the survivor. They also take active participation in the deciding their meal, what kind of food is to be given to these victims and survivors, what kind of medication is needed for these victims and survivors, and to provide protection. They are the link between the victims and the police officials. So
Yeah,
they play.
one of the reasons for success of NGOs is that uh, when a person works with NGO, he works for a social cause. He is not interested in earning money or any other gain. So many times people, socially spirited people, public spirited people joins NGOs, and they work as mission. Another role of NGOs is with regard to linkage between corporates and NGOs. Uh, NGOs can mobilize the support of corporates. They, if they come up with good plans, then they can attract financial assistance from the corporates. And now, as you must be knowing, that a certain percentage of income is mandatorily has to be spent for corporate social responsibilities. It is mandatory under the law, the New Companies Act, that corporate should invest a certain percentage of its earning for social causes. So NGOs can work with corporate sector. Uh, they can mobilize their support, and they can also, when they are working with corporates, as Dr. Mansi has pointed out, they can work in getting them employed, getting the victim employed in uh, corporates. They can mobilize the support of corporate. They can influence the corporate people to give victims good employment.
Yes. So, learners, corporates play a very important role as per the CSR activity, as Dr. Anand just said. It is their duty that they invest a certain amount of money for the victims or for any scheme of development and rehabilitation. So, Dr. Anand, would you like to say something
Yeah, yeah.
else?
Actually, they can also work as linkage between
Yes.
corporate, government, and a victim. Because government also needs various kinds of support from NGOs. Government institutions cannot, because in India we know the size of population we have, and the heterogeneous nature of issues. Government organizations may not have that kind of expertise or resources to reach out to every victim. So NGO play a very important role in this connection, and they can help the government to prosecute, protect, and provide various types of support to the victims.
Yes, and when they provide job opportunities to the victims or survivors of human trafficking, this is their best contribution because you have a big form for government jobs where you have to mention whether you were prosecuted or you were convicted or you had any charges against you. In the corporate world we do not have these forms.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as per the basic of your on the basis of your qualification, your experience, they will provide you job opportunities. And in cases of home verification, in cases of women victims or children victims, or in cases of people who cannot speak for their rights or who don't know about their rights, the NGOs play a very good role. Then they have a lot of contacts with the police officials, with the advocates in the area, with the social service people, so they can also bring out some needs. Maybe the educational needs, you can provide them books to for education. Maybe for skills you can hire some resource people and you can just send it to the homes and they can be trained. So NGOs are a very good service providers because they try, and as Anandji said, that they just do it with commitment. They are committed people, they are experienced people, they are from different fields having different backgrounds. So they really help the people in their rehabilitation. They prevent re-trafficking of the victims and survivors. They become a link between the family members and the society and the victims, and they always try to bring a balance or a victim centric approach whenever any decision is taken by the authorities for the victims. Yes, Anandji.
Yeah, yeah. Another point which I would like to make here is that uh, when NGO work in a particular area, it can work with flexibility. It can change strategy as per the needs. But
Yes.
same is not possible. May same the same flexibility may not be possible with government departments, with government organizations, due to various technical things, various red tapeism, the
Yes.
five movement issue. So NGOs can work with flexibility. It can mold relief as per the needs of the victims. This is the main beauty of NGOs, which I think is very
Yes,
important.
and they can integrate all the stakeholders
Yeah.
together for a cause. And as we have just discussed, that a trafficked
Because in
person.
NGO, you rightly pointed out, they have a role, very important role with regard to integration. Because in NGO, various types of people are involved. Some may be from government departments, from government people, some retired people who have served in the governments are associated with NGOs. Some corporate peoples are associated, some social workers, educationists, various types of people are associated with the NGO. So definitely, NGO has a great role to play with regard to integration of various stakeholders.
Yes, and they also have a big network. So if there is a cross-border crime, or two states are involved, because the source, the transit, and the destination may be a different state or maybe a different country. So there also NGOs can play a very important role in talking about the rights of the victims. Sometimes the victims, when rescued, are not able to even understand the language where they have been rescued. So there also NGOs play a very important role in bringing translators, in understanding their background, and providing a person who can talk to these victims and who can understand their language. In cases of tribes, it is very difficult, when you rescue these people, you're not able to understand what they are speaking, and many times they are very scared. So after rescue also, they do not trust the government, the people, but they do trust the NGO women workers. So a motherly touch maybe, or they are able to speak up in front of women activists, and they are able to connect with the NGO people very soon as compared to the government machinery, because in the government you don't have so much of time, the doctors do not have so much of time, the police officers, the prosecution does not have so much of time. But NGO people can devote lot of time, because their purpose is to rehabilitate and reintegrate the victim.
Yeah, and it has it has also been seen that NGOs have connection with media people also,
Yes.
and this can also help in creating awareness about the issues, about the plight of the victims, and what kind of support is required from the public. Dissemination of information and creating awareness through media, that can also be done through NGOs, and NGOs can play a very important role in this connection.
Yes, even when they can play a very important role in closing these places of exploitation. So media plays a very important role, Anandji, and definitely when they come forward with the help of media, then they create a pressure, a public pressure.
Yeah.
They even educate the commoners that this agency is a fraud agency, and you should not go for job or for any kind of uh, maybe for any kind of placement, for travel to the foreign countries. So they also have a feeling that when they are involved, then you can know about these agencies, who are the which are the places of exploitation. So all these placement
Yeah,
agencies.
and even in prosecution of offenders, NGOs can play an important role. It can provide the needed support to the victim. The victim may not be in a position to um, face the court system. The NGOs can help in gathering information, collecting evidences, and fighting the case on behalf of the victims. So this can also be done by NGOs, and NGOs
Yes.
has played a very important role in this also.
Even in getting the details of the
Yeah,
missing
yeah,
persons, they
yes.
have helped a lot. So they try to bring a linkage between the state machinery and even the programs of the government. So, they also create awareness about the different schemes and programs of the government of India and the state governments, so that these victims and survivors are able to take benefit of these programs, because we don't know about a lot of programs of government of India and the state machinery. So they also popularize the program of the government, and they are able to become a medium for people to come forward and take benefit of these schemes. You must have seen, when you go to open a bank account, or to get a subsidy, it is so difficult to fill up all the forms and to get all the necessary information. So there also they play a very important role. Even in getting compensation for the victim or the family members, the NGO people play a very important role in assessing the damage done to the victim. So, they also help in the court proceeding, as Dr. Anand has just said. And many a times, they do a lot of paperwork before they go for a case. So they are more prepared, they are more updated in terms of law, in terms of the, suffering the victim and his family members have suffered. So they are able to negotiate even with the corporate. If there is a labor exploitation, then they are able to negotiate with the place of employer. So with the employers they can negotiate, and they can bring a good compensation scheme for the victims of human trafficking. In cases of these factories, we have seen lot of NGOs working very well in child labor, where a lot of carpet industries have made a logo that we will not employ children in the carpet factories. Even for BD Udyog, they have done tremendous work. So they work in remote area, as just Anandji said, that they work in the remote area, so they know the local problems, they know the practical local solutions. Sitting in Delhi, you will not be able to understand the necessity or the needs of the victim in, or the vulnerability aspect of the victim of Jharkhand, UP, Bihar or Orissa, but the NGO who is working there will be able to understand and will help the government in getting best schemes implemented for the people there. So they are a link, they are a connecting link, and they are very expertise people. They can even hire expertise. So they can hire expertise for your benefit. And the case for court, a case is a case. For a prosecutor, the case is a case. For the defense, the case is a case. But for a person who has been handling a case of human trafficking from an NGO, the case is somebody which is very related. So they also develop a family connect, a social connect, bonding between the victim and the NGO, so that lasts for a longer period.
Yeah, yeah. It's provide a very important linkage, and it in a way give a human face to the system, to the entire system which is involved in human trafficking, starting from tracing the victim and rehabilitating her. And rehabilitation has many various aspects: economic rehabilitation, psychological rehabilitation, social rehabilitation. In all the areas, NGOs play a very important role.
I would just like to give an example, Anandji, in a surrogacy recent case which was reported. There, these people used to do contract with the family members, and then they used to force the lady. Even before marriage, they used to contract with the family members that when your son will get married, and whatever will be the first child will be ours. So, and the lady who used to come in the family, and then she was forced to carry the baby and to give away the baby. You know, it's very painful that you have to give away your baby, and in the name of contract, they used to pay 10 to 15,000 rupees.
Very meager amount.
Yes, and poor people even don't understand that this is not a contract. Something which is done for illegal purposes cannot be a contract. So, even if your husband or your in laws have signed a document wherein you are supposed to deliver your first baby to these people, you are not bound by such contracts.
People don't know. People think that
Yes.
these poor people, illiterate people, think that since they have entered into a contract and they have put their thumb impression on
Yes.
the paper, they are bound by that.
Yes.
But, they can NGOs can create awareness, and NGOs can tell these people that look, you are not bound by these type of contracts. These contracts are against public policy. These contracts are void and an issue as per the law.
Yes, so they can always, and I would like to commend their role because, they not only brought up these cases, they helped the machinery to, file a case against these people and to take action against these people. So it was that there is a factor which is very important, that we are not educated. If we are even educated, we do not have legal education. And if I am able to read and write my name, that is not education at all. So we are living in an age where we have Right to Information Act, Right to Education Act, then Article 21, then Article 21A. Still, if we are not educated, NGO plays a very important role in creating awareness amongst the masses about the role of traffickers, about the methodology of traffickers, because the trafficker does not act in a single way for every period, for every time, at every place. So they are more techno savvy, so they change their methods. Similarly, the NGOs who are working in these fields are able to educate the local people and prevent human trafficking. They are able to reintegrate the trafficked victims back into the family and society and provide them a life with dignity and worth. Sorry. Okay. Thank you all for listening this session. Thank you, Dr. Anand.
Thank you. Thank you.